Hello students, good morning to all of you. In yesterday's video, we studied disaccharides namely sucrose, maltose and lactose. Then yesterday we just started to study the next important biomolecule and that was proteins. So, it is one of the important and abundant biomolecule of the living system. It is most important biomolecule as concerned to the living organisms and it is abundant biomolecule that is found in the living system. So, proteins are essential or it is necessary for growth and maintenance of the body. It is important for the growth and maintenance of the body. So, the word protein is derived from Greek word proteus means prime importance. That is, it is very important as concerned to the living organism because its deficiency of protein, it causes various diseases. That's why it is very important biomolecule as concerned to the all living organisms. So we know that different sources of protein are milk, then eggs, then fishes, then cereals, then cheese, etc. So these are the different sources of the proteins. So yesterday we studied that polymers or proteins are the polymers of alpha amino acids. So chemically proteins are the polymers of alpha amino acid. That means large number of alpha amino acids they combine with each other and forms the macromolecule, and that macromolecule it is the protein. So protein it is the polymer. Polymer means compound having a very high molecular weight or it contains many parts. So remember that chemically proteins are the polymers of alpha amino acids. So alpha amino acids, let's study about the alpha amino acids. So alpha amino acids generally they are written by the formula RCHNH2 and COOH. So it is found that the alpha carbon atom. So this is the alpha carbon atom. Carbon next to carboxyl carbon. This is the carboxyl carbon. So carbon next to carboxyl carbon, it is the alpha carbon atom. The alpha carbon atom in alpha amino acid. The alpha carbon atom in alpha amino acids obtained by the hydrolysis of protein. Has L configuration. So remember that the alpha carbon atom, that is this carbon atom which is present in alpha amino acid and it is obtained by hydrolysis of protein. So that carbon atom it having the L configuration. So alpha amino acids they are represented by Fischer projection formula as, so I am going to represent the Fisher projection formula of alpha amino acid. H2N, here C, here COOH, then here H, and here R. So it is the L alpha amino acid. So this is the general representation of L alpha amino acid, or this is the projection formula, Fisher projection formula of L alpha amino acid. So here in this formula, this R, here this R, it is the side chain, R, it is the side chain, and may contains additional functional group also. So here we studied the general representation or Fisher projection formula for the alpha amino acid having the L configuration. Then let's study the classification of alpha amino acids. So alpha amino acids are classified into three classes. First one, it is the acidic amino acids. Second one is the basic amino acids, and third one, it is the neutral amino acids. They are classified into three classes. So first class of alpha amino acid is the acidic. It is the acidic amino acids. First class, it is the acidic amino acid. So if R contains a carboxyl group, then amino acid, it is the acidic amino acid. So here this is the general representation of L alpha amino acid. So if this R, it contains a carboxyl group. So if this R contains a carboxyl group, then amino acid, it is the acidic amino acid. Then second class of amino acid is basic amino acids. Basic amino acids. So basic amino acids are nothing but if R contains amino group, and this amino group, it may be primary, it may be secondary, or it may be tertiary, then such amino acid, it is called as basic amino acid. Then third class of alpha amino acid is neutral amino acid. It is neutral amino acid. So this is the third class, neutral amino acid. So neutral amino acids are nothing but these are the amino acids, and if here R it is no functional group, or amino acid having neutral or no functional group, that means R, it is having no functional group. So amino acid having neutral or no functional group in R, amino acid having no functional group or neutral functional group in R, then it is called as neutral amino acids. So these are the three classes or types of amino acids: acidic amino acid, basic amino acid, and third one, it is the neutral amino acids. So these amino acids, they have trivial names and they are derived from their source and taste. Their names are derived from their source and their taste. So protein on hydrolysis gives protein on hydrolysis. So protein on hydrolysis, it gives nearly about 30 amino acids. So out of these 30 amino acids, 20 amino acids are more common. Out of 30, 20 amino acids are more common. So these alpha amino acids, they are represented by three-letter symbol. Alpha amino acids, they are represented by three-letter symbol, or some alpha amino acids, they are also represented by one-letter symbol. So here we study the classification of alpha amino acids or amino acids. Then the next article which we are going to study, it is the properties of amino acids. So these amino acids, they are colorless. Amino acids, they are colorless. Then they are crystalline solids. And they are water soluble. Then they are non-volatile compounds. Or another property, it is they have high melting point. So these are the different properties of amino acids. So in examination, question may be asked, give the properties of amino acids. So amino acids, they are colorless, they are crystalline solids. We know that solids are of two types, crystalline solid and amorphous solids. So amino acids are the crystalline solids. That means atoms, ions or molecules are arranged in a definite geometrical shape. That's why they are the crystalline solids. The next property, it is about the solubility. Amino acids are water soluble. The next one, it is they are non-volatile compounds and they have the high melting point. So these are the different properties of amino acids. So in aqueous solution, carboxyl group of amino acid. In aqueous solution, carboxyl group loses a proton, while amino group, it accepts it. So as a result, amino acid in aqueous solution exists as dipolar ion and it is called as Jeter ion. Once again, I am going to repeat this sentence. So in aqueous solution, carboxyl group of amino acid, it loses proton, and amino group, it accepts it. That's why dipolar ion is formed, and that dipolar ion, it is called as Jeter ion. So let's represent this particular reaction, how Jeter ions are formed. So I am going to represent the general representation of alpha amino acids. So here NH2, then here carbon atom, here H, and here R. Here C double bond O, here O, here H, COOH, carboxyl group, and this is the amino group. On this nitrogen, there is presence of lone pair of electron. So In aqueous solution, this carboxyl group, it can donate the proton. So in aqueous solution, proton transfer takes place. Proton transfer takes place. And this proton, it is accepted by this NH2 group, because on the nitrogen excess of lone pair of electron or lone pair of electron is present. So that's why this NH2, it accepts this proton from carboxyl. So after accepting this proton, now this NH2 becomes NH3. NH3. So here lone pair of electron, it is utilized, that's why it having a positive charge. Then next one, it is here there is the carbon atom, then here H to the lower side, here there is R, then here C double bond O, this C double bond O, then here O, and this hydrogen, it is transferred in the form of proton to this NH2 group. So this hydrogen, it leaves in the form of proton from this position. That's why this shared pair of electron, it is get transferred towards this oxygen. That's why this oxygen, it is the electron rich or it having a negative charge. So thus here ion is formed, and this ion, it is called as Zweiter ion. It is called as Zweiter ion. So Zweiter ion, it contains two poles. First one, it is the positive pole and it is the negative pole. So depending upon or amino acid can exist in different forms depending upon the pH of aqueous solution, in which it is dissolved. So amino acid can exist in different forms. It can exist in different forms depending upon pH of aqueous solution in which it is dissolved. So here I am going to represent three forms of alanine. Alanine, it is the alpha amino acid. So it exists in different forms, because amino acid can exist in different forms depending upon the pH of aqueous solution in which it is dissolved. So in order to explain this particular sentence or meaning of this sentence, let's consider one example. So alanine can exist in three different forms. So I am going to represent three different forms. So this is the first form. Here H3 and here plus charge. Then here carbon atom. Then here H. Then here COOH. Then here CH3. So here in this form of alanine, overall charge. Here overall charge, it is plus 1. Overall here is the plus 1 charge. So this form exists when pH of solution, it is greater than 2 or it is equal to 2. So amino acid can exist in different forms. Depending upon the pH of aqueous solution in which it is dissolved. So when pH of aqueous solution, it is equal to 2 or it is greater than 2, then alanine exists in this form. So overall there is the plus charge. Then alanine also exists in another form. I am going to represent that form. So here H3N, then here at the point of intersection there is carbon atom. Here H, here CH3, and here COO minus. So here it having a plus charge. So here two charges are present, plus and minus. So this is the zeta ion. Of alanine. So here there is no net charge. So this form of alanine, it exists when pH of solution, it is nearly equal to 6. So when pH of solution it is nearly equal to 6, then alanine exists in this form. Then alanine also exists in another form also. So I am going to repeat the another form of alanine, H2N. So here at the point of intersection there is tetrahedral carbon atom. Here H, here COO minus, and here CH3. So here this is the third form of alanine. So here overall there is a -1 charge. Here there is a -1 charge. So this form of alanine, it exists when pH of solution, it is nearly equal or greater than 10. So when pH of aqueous solution in which it is dissolved, its pH it is greater than 10 or it is equal to 10, then alanine exists in this form. So remember that amino acid can exist in different forms. Depending upon pH of aqueous solution in which it is dissolved. So to understand this, we are taking one example, and that example was different forms of alanine. Alanine can exist in 3 different forms. So when pH it is exactly equal to 2 or it is greater than 2, then this form exists. Alanine exists in this form. When pH of the solution it is nearly equal to 6, then alanine exists in the zeta ion form. And when pH of the solution it is equal to 10 or it is more than 10, at that time alanine exists in this form. So here we studied 3 different forms of alanine. So today we studied about proteins. So in proteins, you remember that chemically proteins are the polymers of alpha amino acids. Then after that we studied about alpha amino acids. They are represented by this formula. Then alpha amino acids having a L configuration, and this is the Fischer projection formula of alpha amino acids. Then after that we studied the classification of alpha amino acids. Amino acids are classified into 3 classes: acidic amino acid, basic amino acid and neutral amino acids. Then we studied properties of amino acids. After studying properties, we studied the formation of Zwitter ion, how this ion it is formed. Then we studied one sentence, and that sentence was amino acid it can exist in different forms, and that depends upon the pH of aqueous solution in which it is dissolved. To understand this, we studied one example, and that example was alanine. We studied three different forms of alanine. So when pH of the solution it changes, then alanine also changes its form. So after studying properties of amino acids, now we are going to study the next article, and that article is peptide bond and proteins. Peptide bond and proteins. So in 1900, German scientist Emil Fischer studied the structure of protein. In 1900, German scientist Emil Fischer studied the structure of protein. So, in stomach or duodenum, enzymes are present. For example, enzymes like pepsin is present. So, in stomach, enzymes are present, or enzymes like pepsin is present, and that break down, such enzymes break down polypeptides, and they form alpha amino acids. So in stomach or in duodenum, proteins gets broken down by the enzymes like pepsin, and thus alpha amino acids are formed. Thus we can say that proteins are formed. Thus proteins are formed by connecting. Proteins are formed by connecting alpha amino acids. Proteins are formed by connecting alpha amino acids. So proteins are formed by alpha amino acids. So the bond that connects alpha amino acid to each other, the bond that connects alpha amino acids, various alpha amino acids in protein to each other, is CONH linkage. And this CONH linkage, it is called as peptide linkage. It is called as peptide linkage. So to understand how the peptide linkage is formed, consider one example. So consider, for example, linking of glycine with that of alanine. So we are considering the linking of glycine with alanine. Glycine and alanine, these are the alpha amino acids. So here these two are joined together by elimination of water, and formation of dipeptide takes place, and that dipeptide is called glycylalanine. So glycylalanine, in which two amino acid units are linked through the peptide bond. Let's represent this particular reaction. So here we are taking two monosaccharides, alpha amino acids, glycine and alanine. So glycine having the formula H2N, H2N, here CH2, here COOH. So it is the glycine. It is the glycine. So glycine, it is combined with alanine. So alanine having the formula H2N, here CH, here CH3 and here COOH. This is the alanine. So linking of molecule of glycine with that of alanine we are studied here. So when these two comes in contact with each other, elimination of water molecule takes place. So elimination of water molecule takes place and then glycyl alanine is formed. Here glycyl alanine is formed. So here the formulation is H2N, here H2N, then here CH2, then here from this carboxyl group and from this NH2 group water molecule is eliminated. That's why here only there is a presence of CO, and here one hydrogen from this H2, it is combined with this OH and elimination of water molecule takes place. So here there is only NH. So here NH, then here next is CH. To this CH, CH3 group is attached, and lastly here there is the presence of COOH. So thus glycyl alanine is formed. So it is the dipeptide. So combination of third molecule of alpha amino acid with this dipeptide. This is the dipeptide. So combination of third molecule of alpha amino acid with dipeptide, it results in the formation of tripeptide. So remember that combination of third molecule of alpha amino acid. So combination of third molecule of alpha amino acid with dipeptide. So it results in the formation of tripeptide. Similarly, linking of 4, 5 or 6 alpha amino acids. Similarly, linking of 4, 5 or 6 alpha amino acid, it results in the formation of tetrapeptide. It results in the formation of tetrapeptide, then pentapeptide, and then hexapeptide respectively. So when number of alpha amino acids linked to peptide bond are more than 10, when number of alpha amino acids linked with or linked by peptide bond is more than 10, then the product form it is called polypeptide. Product form it is called as polypeptide. Remember that when number of alpha amino acids linked by peptide bond it is more than 10, then the product form is called as polypeptide. So proteins are polypeptides. Having more than 100 amino acid residues, and these 100 amino acid residues they are linked by peptide linkage. Once again I am going to repeat it. So proteins are polypeptides and they having more than 100 amino acid residues, and these 100 amino acids or more than 100 amino acids they are linked by the peptide linkage or CONH linkage. So the two ends of polypeptides, so this is the dipeptide. So two ends of polypeptide chain of protein are not identical. To the left side of this CONH linkage there is this end, and towards right side there is this end. So two ends of polypeptide chain of protein are not identical. So the end having free COOH group. So the end which having a free carboxyl group it is called as C terminal. And the end, if the end having a free NH2 group, then that end it is called as N terminal. So in dipeptide glycyl alanine, so this is the dipeptide glycyl alanine. So in dipeptide, this is the glycyl alanine. In dipeptide glycyl alanine, glycine residue, this is the glycine residue. So this glycine residue it is the N terminal, and alanine residue, this is the alanine residue. So this alanine residue it is the C terminal. So remember that two ends of polypeptide chain which are present in protein are not identical. So these ends are of two types. When there is free carboxyl group, that end it is the C terminal, and when there is free NH2 group, that terminal it is the N terminal. Then after studying various CONH linkage in protein, the next article which we are going to study it is the types of protein. Next article it is the types of protein. So on the basis of molecular shape and solubility, proteins are of two types. So protein can be classified into two types. First one it is the globular protein, and second one it is the fibrous proteins. So on the basis of on the basis of molecular shape and solubility. Proteins are of two types. First one, it is the globular protein. So in globular protein, molecules are spherical in shape. Molecules are spherical in shape, and this shape, it results due to coiling around the polypeptide chain of protein. So the polypeptide chain which is present in the protein, it gets coiled, and due to this it possesses the spherical shape. So globular proteins are nothing but these are the proteins in which molecules having the spherical shape. Why they are spherical in shape? Because coiling around the polypeptide chain of protein, here there is the present. Then globular proteins are soluble in water. So examples of globular proteins are, well-known example is egg albumin, then hormone like insulin. Then another example is serum albumin, myoglobin, or hemoglobin, which is present in our blood. So egg albumin, insulin, albumin, hemoglobin, these are the different examples of globular proteins. So after studying the first type of protein, globular protein, now we are going to study the next type, that is the fibrous proteins. So fibrous proteins are the proteins in which molecules are elongated. And they having a rod-like shape. So these are the proteins. These are the proteins in which molecules are elongated and they having a rod-like shape. These fibrous proteins are insoluble in water. Globular proteins are soluble in water, but these fibrous proteins are insoluble in water. So molecules of fibrous proteins, they are elongated and rod-like shape, and this shape, it results due to polypeptide chain, and your polypeptide chain of protein are parallel to each other. So these molecules, the molecules which are present in protein, they are elongated or they having a rod-like shape. Why they are elongated or rod-like shape? Because polypeptide chain of these proteins are parallel to each other. That's why they are having elongated or rod-like shape. Then different examples of globular protein is keratin. Globular protein, its example is keratin. This keratin, it is present in our hair. It is also present in nail. Then another example of globular protein is myosin. So myosin, it is the example of fibrous protein. The next example, it is the collagen, which is present in tendon. Collagen in tendon, it is also the example of fibrous protein. So here we finished the types of protein. We studied two types of protein, globular protein and fibrous protein, with their examples. So we will stop here. Thank you.